in a vineyard here at about harvest time. These vines are ready to be harvested, but I want to show you what powdery mildew looks like because it's pretty obvious in the field. Right here is a trial. This area I am in is a spray trial where we trial different products for powdery mildew control. So in here we have uncontrolled checks that do not get sprayed and therefore show great late season examples or symptoms of powdery mildew. However, this section of the vineyard currently is a sprayed area where we have control of powdery mildew. The canopy is still nice and green. It might be turning a little yellowish because it's late season here in October. And the fruit is relatively free and clear of powdery mildew, but it looks nice and green. So I want you to take a look at that, and I'm going to walk over to another section right next to it that has disease. So I just walked a couple feet down the same row that I was in before, and I'm into the unsprayed control powdery mildew portion, where these vines are clearly full of the powdery mildew epidemic. These leaves, if you look, have a white cast to them. That's the actual fungus growing on the surface of the leaf. And if you look closely at the leaf, you can start to see the brown necrotic spots that have formed. Some of the leaves are actually starting to dry up. So these were infested earlier in the season, and the berries just look horrible. They're basically turned into raisins. They have lots of powdery mildew on them, and they're dried up. So these are what you do not want your vines to look like. Another thing that I want to point out is that these vines are right next to sprayed vines. So vines that had pesticide sprayed on them and only a buffer in between. So this area right here is the area I started out with. Here's a buffer vine, and then we've got the powdery mildew vines right next to them. So it shows that when you do have an adequate spray program, it can have control, even if you have certain outlying areas not controlled. So just looking down that row, you can see the difference in a powdery mildew controlled vine versus a non-controlled vine late in the season. And of course, this is for research purposes only. We hope never to see this in practice in a vineyard, or at least a managed vineyard.